if you've not just seen life, but felt it, if you've not just played your roles, but dove into them fully, and if silence speaks louder to you than noise ever could, then perhaps you are an old soul. This video is for those who no longer chase time, but sit with it. For those who no longer ask the world for answers, but listen inward. This is not just a conversation. This is a spiritual remembrance of what really matters in the end. When the rush of life begins to slow, when mornings lose their noise and nights deepen into stillness, the soul begins to whisper, "Did what I lived truly matter?" This isn't a question the young ask. It is asked by those who've seen all 4 seasons of life, those who have touched love deeply, lost it quietly, and still held grace in their eyes. They no longer seek applause, they seek peace. They no longer seek presence, they seek meaning. They no longer count achievements, they count moments. In the final chapters of life, only 2 phrases echo. If only went, and thank God I did. This talk is a journey to those thank God moments. To those sacred instants the soul remembers, moments without which life would feel incomplete. Segment 1, Unbinding the Soul when we begin to live inward. There comes a point when we stop chasing the world and start finding ourselves. We ask, did I live a life true to my soul, or one that pleased the world? Old souls already know the soul doesn't bloom with attention. It opens silently, in moments of deep, unapplauded truth. What really matters in the end? Not the money that once felt secure, not the status that came and went, not even the people who forgot to check in. What matters is that moment when you said no without guilt, that memory where you loved without fear, that evening you held someone's hand and said, "I'm here and I always will be." Old souls speak a language the world doesn't always understand, because they seek stillness in a world obsessed with motion, because they live not for today, but for eternity, somewhere in the middle of aging bones and fading names. A stillness begins. It is not loud, it is not immediate, but it is there, the stillness of knowing, I no longer need to become, I have already lived. This is not resignation, this is arrival, not on a stage, but within the sacredness of your own breath. Segment 2, Letting go the wisdom of no longer holding on. There is something incredibly powerful about letting go. Letting go of what we once chased. Letting go of needing to be understood. Letting go of the race we were never meant to run. You see, when we're young, we think that holding on is strength. We think being remembered, being right, being admired is what gives us value. But when you're an old soul, you realize real strength is in letting go without anger. Real courage is in walking away without bitterness. And real love is in allowing people to leave while still blessing them silently. So what really matters in the end? It's not the number of people who praised you, but the handful who truly felt safe in your presence. Not the titles you earned, but the peace you found within the silence of your own company. Not what you gathered from the world, but what you gave back without asking anything in return. Segment 3, Aging is the returned soul. The body wrinkles. The memory sometimes flickers. The steps slow down. And yet, the soul, it becomes clearer. Aging is not the end. It's the return. It's the journey home back to your original self. In youth, we wear masks. In old age, the masks fall. What remains is the true face, soft, vulnerable, infinite. Old souls are not sad. They are just deep. They carry not just their own wounds, but echoes of many lifetimes. And in their silence is a wisdom that can calm storms. Segment 4. Relationships that transcend time. In the end, we remember. Not every face, but every feeling we remember. That moment someone listened without judgment. That night someone held space for your grief. That person who said, "You don't have to be strong right now. Just be real." These are the relationships that last, not because they were perfect, but because they were true. Segment 5. The art of sitting with yourself. There is a sacred moment when you no longer need distractions. You don't reach for your phone. You don't need noise. You sit just with yourself. And instead of emptiness, you feel peace. That's when you know you've arrived at something the world can't teach. Something only a soul with time, pain, and love can ever understand. So again, what really matters in the end? A simple sunrise. The way your mother's hand felt in yours. The sound of your father's laughter. The quiet pride in your child's eyes. A letter you never sent. A tear you didn't hide. A prayer whispered for someone who never even knew. Old souls do not need validation. They are not here to impress. They are here to remember, to soften, to prepare for a deeper homecoming. By now, if you're still here, it means you are not just listening, you are remembering. You are not just hearing words, you are hearing echoes from your own life. Because this talk was never meant to teach, it was meant to remind. Not remind your mind, but your soul. Segment 6. The invisible moments that defined you. The world remembers achievements, but the soul remembers moments no one saw. Like the time you held back tears in a room full of people. That night you forgave someone who never apologized. The decade you stayed strong for everyone else, even when you had no one holding you. That one quiet morning you chose not to give up, and no one knew. These are not written in books, but they are etched into your being. This is your real legacy. So what really matters in the end? Not what the world saw, but what you endured quietly. Not the life you posted online, but the truth you lived when no one was watching. Segment 7. The soul's ledger, not the one you think. Every soul carries an invisible ledger. It is not filled with degrees, awards, or praises. It carries the kindness you gave when it wasn't returned, the love you poured even when you were empty, the times you listened with your heart instead of your opinion, the patience you offered to people who didn't understand your depth. And in this quiet accounting, you are far richer than you think. Old souls are not wealthy in material. They are wealthy in meaning. Their currency is connection. Their measure is grace. Their reward is inner stillness. Segment 8. The depth of grief and love. You see, the older you become, the more you realize grief is not the opposite of love. It is love. That has nowhere to go. Every person you've lost still lives in the way you smile at strangers, in the way you call your child by a name your parent once used, in the way you touch a photograph with reverence even after decades. Grief means you love deeply, and true love never ends. It simply transforms. Segment 9. When time slows, truth rises. As you grow older, time becomes quieter. But strangely, truth becomes louder. You begin to hear the regrets you ignored, the dreams you buried, the things you never said but should have. This is not punishment. It is permission. Permission to still live the truth in the time that remains, even now, because old souls know it's never too late to heal. It's never too late to become softer. It's never too late to live in truth, even if the world calls it too late. So again, what really matters in the end? Not how long you live, but how honestly. Not how many followed you, but how many felt seen beside you. Not how many stories you told, but how many lives you touched without even trying. Let's speak of something we rarely do, not because we're afraid, but because it's too sacred to rush. Let's speak of what remains after we are no longer here. Because death is not the end for an old soul. It is the closing of one book and the beginning of another. Segment 10. You will be remembered by how you made people feel. Not everyone will remember what you said. They won't always remember your job, your clothes, your house, or even your name. But they will remember the way they felt when they sat beside you, the warmth in your eyes when you listened, the patience in your silence when they were lost, the kindness in your words when they failed. That is your eternal presence. Old souls don't leave legacies carved in stone. They leave legacies etched in hearts. You will remain in a grandchild laughter, in a friend's favorite quote, in a letter tucked between pages, in a ritual someone continues, because you once showed them its magic. Segment 11. A soul's true legacy is energetic. The physical body decays, the voice fades, but your energy never dies. The way you love still floats in the rooms you once walked. The prayers you whispered still ripple through the timelines. The forgiveness you gave still heals generations after you. This is the soul's quiet revolution. Unseen, unspoken, but eternal. Segment 12. Death is not the end, it's the release. An old soul is never afraid of death. Not because they're brave, but because they understand. Death is not taking you from life. It is giving you back to truth, to the timeless, to the vastness, to the home you came from before you even had a name. And in the final breath, you will not see darkness. You will see the eyes of every loved one who left before you, the embrace of every soul you quietly healed, the light of every kind act you ever did, lighting your way back to the source. So again, what really matters in the end? Not your resume, not your reputation, but your radiance. The radiance you leave behind in the memories, the feelings, the silences that now carry your echo. Segment 13. You were always more than a body. Even now, look at yourself. Touch your skin. Feel your heartbeat. Know this. You were never just this. You are stardust. You are memory. You are emotion wrapped in form. You are the breath of God in a temporary shell. And what is divine never truly dies. It only returns. If you're still listening, then you already know there is a moment in life when you stop resisting. You stop fighting time. You stop chasing proof. You stop explaining your heart to people who don't feel its weight. This moment is not defeat. It is sacred surrender. Segment 14. The peace in letting go. Letting go is not weakness. It is wisdom. The kind only older souls understand. You begin to let go of the need to always be understood, the guilt you carried like a stone in your chest, the constant proving of your worth, the worry for things that were never yours to control. And suddenly, you breathe deeper, because what really matters in the end is not control, but clarity. Segment 15. Surrender is trust, not loss. Surrender doesn't mean you've given up. It means you've given back to life. What was never yours to carry forever. The people you tried to save, the mistakes you wished you could undo, the past you kept replaying, the dreams that no longer fit your spirit. You lay them down, not with bitterness, but with blessing. You whisper to life, I trust you now. I trust myself. I trust the unfolding. And life answers back, I've been waiting for you to remember. Segment 16. The return begins within. Returning to the source doesn't begin at death. It begins in stillness. When you begin to listen more than you speak, see beauty in wrinkles, in pauses, in silence. Feel a softness toward your own imperfections. Say, it's okay, and mean it especially to yourself. This is the beginning of return. Not running away from life, but returning to what is true. Returning to the original light that you are. Before trauma, before pressure, before ego. Segment 17. The soul doesn't count. Years, it counts openness. By now, you've lived decades. But the soul does not count years. It counts openings. Moments when your heart cracked open from loss. Moments when you forgave someone and felt something sacred shift inside you. Moments when truth stood in front of you and you didn't turn away. These are not ordinary. These are portals. Through each one, your soul expanded. It grew not by success, but by surrender. So again, dear soul, what really matters in the end? Not the number of years you lived, but the number of times you lived honestly. Not how high you climbed, but how deeply you let go. Not what you achieved in the eyes of the world, but what you remembered in the silence of your own heart. You have walked a long path, and now the journey turns inward to prepare your soul for peace. This preparation is not about fear. It is about awareness, a sacred knowing that your soul is ready to rest, to transform, to return. Segment 18. The rituals of release. Every culture has rituals, stories, ceremonies, small acts to help the soul let go. But these rituals don't have to be grand. They can be simple. Lighting a candle and speaking your gratitude aloud. Writing a letter to yourself, forgiving your past. Spending quiet moments with nature, feeling the wind as a gentle embrace. Sharing a meal with loved ones, savoring connection. These acts are more than habits. They are sacred bridges between the life you lived and the peace you seek. Segment 19. Recognizing your spiritual readiness. How do you know when your soul is ready? You feel a deepening peace that surpasses all worry. A softness toward your own imperfections and those of others. A quiet joy in simple moments, no longer chasing grand achievements. A gentle curiosity about what comes next, without fear or resistance. These signs are not weakness. They are strength in disguise. They tell you your soul is preparing to unfold. Segment 20. Embracing the unknown with trust. The unknown can feel vast, like a sea without a shore. But old souls learn to swim in uncertainty. They let go of the need for certainty. Instead, they trust that life is a circle, not a line. That endings are beginnings. that even in darkness there is light. This trust becomes your anchor, your lighthouse. Segment 21. The final gift, presence. What matters most at this stage is presence. Presence with yourself. Presence with others. Presence with the world even as you prepare to leave it. Presence is the final gift you give. Not just a moment in time, but an imprint on eternity. So what really matters in the end? Not the things you accumulated, not the plans you made, but the presence you held in every breath, in every touch, in every moment of love and letting go. Segment 22. Why forgiveness is a gift to yourself. Forgiveness is not about forgetting. It is not about excusing what hurt you. It is about freeing your own heart. Because old wounds, they don't just hurt the past. They live in your present, quietly binding your spirit. When you forgive, you do not change the past. You change your relationship to it. You choose peace over pain. You choose freedom over chains. Segment 23. The courage to forgive. Forgiving takes courage, the courage to face your pain, the courage to stand vulnerable before yourself. It is not a sign of weakness, but of extraordinary strength. To forgive is to say, I am bigger than my hurt. I will not let bitterness define me. Segment 24. Forgiving others and forgiving yourself. Often the hardest forgiveness is for ourselves, for the mistakes we think define us, for the times we wished we'd been different. But the soul knows you are human, you are learning, you are becoming. So forgive yourself gently as you would forgive a dear child. And forgive others not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Segment 25. Forgiveness opens the door to grace. When forgiveness flows, something beautiful happens. Grace enters. Grace is not earned, it is received. It is the balm that soothes old wounds, the light that warms cold shadows, the hand that lifts you when you feel you cannot rise. Segment 26. Carrying forgiveness. Forward. Your forgiveness becomes a gift beyond you. It ripples into families, communities, the world. It teaches others that healing is possible, that love is stronger than pain. And in this way, your soul's legacy grows deeper, not just in memories, but in hearts transformed by grace. So again, dear soul, what really matters in the end? Not the grudges you held, not the hurts you carried, but the forgiveness you gave to others, to yourself, to the story of your life. Segment 27. Gratitude as a spiritual practice. Gratitude is more than saying thank you. It is a way of being. It is a daily practice of noticing the small miracles, the quiet blessings, the moments of beauty that often go unseen. Older souls know this well. Gratitude shifts the soul's focus from what is missing to what is richly present. Segment 28. The healing power of gratitude. When you embrace gratitude, your heart begins to heal. Pain softens, resentment fades, and a gentle peace grows. This is because gratitude reconnects you to the deep well of life's abundance, a well that never runs dry, no matter how stormy the outside world may seem. Segment 29. How to cultivate daily gratitude. You don't need anything grand. You only need presence. Each day, ask yourself, what is one thing I am grateful for right now? It might be the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the sound of a loved one's voice, the breath that fills your lungs, the quiet stillness of early morning. Writing these down, speaking them aloud, or simply holding them in your heart creates a sacred ritual bridge to joy. Segment 30. Gratitude and acceptance. Gratitude does not deny difficulty. It does not pretend pain is absent. Instead, gratitude embraces reality with all its shadows and light. It says, I see the hard and the beautiful. I honor them both, and I choose to walk in thankfulness. This choice is transformative. Segment 31. Living a life rooted in gratitude. As your days grow gentle with gratitude, you will find yourself living differently, less grasping, less fearing, more loving, more present. And this is the heart's true peace. So again, dear soul, what really matters in the end? Not the wealth you gathered, not the accolades you received, but the gratitude you carried, like a lantern lighting your final path, illuminating the richness of a life fully lived. Segment 32. What is presence? Presence is more than being physically here. It is the fullness of your attention, the gentle awareness of this very moment. When you are truly present, you listen with your whole heart. You see beyond words. You feel the unspoken. Presence is the soul's way of saying, I am here with you completely. Segment 33. Why presence matters most. In a world rushing forward, presence is a refuge. Older souls understand what matters is not what you do, but how you are. Presence creates connection, not just with others, but with your own deepest self. It is the doorway to healing, to love, to peace. Segment 34. Practicing presence. Daily. Presence is a practice, a gentle habit of returning to now. You can begin with a deep breath, feeling the air fill your lungs, noticing the colors and sounds around you, letting go of past worries and future plans, even briefly. Each moment you return, you nurture your soul. Segment 35. Presence in relationships. When you bring presence to your relationships, everything changes. You listen without judgment. You hold space without trying to fix. You love without conditions. This kind of presence is a healing balm to your soul and to those you care for. Segment 36. Presence as the gateway to peace. Ultimately, presence is the gateway to the deepest peace you seek. When you are present with yourself, you meet your soul's truth. You find stillness in the storm, and that stillness becomes your home. So, dear soul, what really matters in the end? Not how much you accomplished, not how far you traveled, but the presence you held in every breath, in every moment, in every connection. Segment 37. The mystery of life and death. Life is a beautiful enigma dance between light and shadow, beginning and end, known and unknown. Older souls learn to accept this mystery, not with fear, but with awe and grace. They understand that death is not an end, but a doorway. Segment 38. Letting go with grace. Letting go is the final act of courage. It means releasing control, trusting the flow of life, surrendering to the natural rhythm of the universe. This surrender is not defeat, it is liberation. Segment 39. Finding comfort in faith or trust. Whether your faith is in God, the universe, or simply in the goodness of life, trust becomes your anchor. Trust that the soul's journey continues, that love endures beyond form, and that you are never truly alone. Segment 40. Leaving a legacy of love, what truly remains after all is said and done, is the love you shared. Your kindness, your presence, your forgiveness, these are the seeds you plant, growing beyond your time here. Segment 41, Final Reflection. So, dear soul, what really matters in the end? It is this: the peace you found within, the love you gave freely, the grace with which you embraced the unknown. Thank you for joining me in this heartfelt journey. If this talk has touched your soul, please like, share, and subscribe to the Quiet Mind, Powerful Soul. Because together we will continue exploring the whispers of our deeper selves, one peaceful step at a time.